Hello again, everybody. This is Dan Clauser, and welcome back to the Journey of My Mother's Son podcast. Today I'm joined with fellow Y2V volunteers, Jeff and Susan Spencer. Guys, thanks for joining me today.
Glad to be here.
Our pleasure.
So we're in Picacho, Arizona, on a Year to Volunteer project, and we got to meet you guys on this project, which is very cool. I wanted to talk to you two specifically because you are definitely the veteran Year to Volunteer volunteers. This is Sandy and I's second project with Phil and Shar, and it's your 11th,
right,
including one that you guys pretty much handled from start to finish for the most part. Mm-hmm. So tell me a little bit, how did you guys find out about a Year to Volunteer, and what was it about the program that intrigued you and made you want to get involved?
So we found out about a Year to Volunteer through some YouTube RVers that we follow, Phil and Stacy Farley. They had done a couple of projects with a Year to Volunteer, one in Florida and one in Texas. So, I mean, it looked interesting to us at the time because we were retired. We liked to do service projects. We were very involved in the mission work at our church. But unfortunately, with COVID-19, everything that we were involved with, international mission trips, local mission trips, volunteering at Salvation Army, every volunteer opportunity that we had, which we even signed up for a Habitat for Humanity build. We were going to RV down there, and just with everything going on with COVID, everything just shut down. So we were really starved for opportunities to volunteer and give back. And then we stumbled on the videos that Phil and Stacy did, and it was like, wow, this is an opportunity for us. And they found a way. The Year to Volunteer folks found a way to continue working, to continue to do service projects, even with COVID-19 going on, through using the mask, physical distancing, all that. And they were able to find people that needed help that were willing to allow them to operate, giving the guidelines that they had, and then marrying those with the recipient of the volunteer work.
Right. Anything you want to add to that, Susan?
Well, we started, Jeff mentioned mission trips with church. We started that in 2010 and had been going regularly, and it was just something that giving back became ingrained in us so much that we were looking, even before we started thinking about a Year to Volunteer, we were looking online for opportunities to volunteer and give back somewhere. So this has been a real blessing for us.
Yeah. Why do you think it's so important to get involved and give back and volunteer?
It should be second nature for all of us to do that. We're a part of God's world, and we need to make sure that we are doing the things that we need to do, not just considering just yourself, but considering others and seeing where you can help. And that's just been something that we've felt very strongly about for a number of years now.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you guys, like Sandy and I, are full-timers.
Right.
How long have you guys been full-time, and what sparked wanting to give up a sticks and bricks house and live in an RV?
Yeah, probably not the common story that people have, although my son says that we've been talking about getting an RV and traveling for 20 years. So he's happy that we're out doing that. But we actually started, like many people do, kind of part-timing instead of full-timing. And we had a tree fall on our sticks and bricks house, which made it more sticks and literally more bricks because it crushed one half of our house. And so it took, within everything going on with COVID, it took 10 and a half months for them to rebuild our house.
Wow.
So we effectively were forced into full-time RVing. We got the house finally finished and we got back, and we were so used to being in our RV. We just said, we really don't need it anymore. And so, yeah.
I was sad to move out of the RV and back into the house. I really was.
Because everything is so confined, everything has its place. As an RVer, you don't have superfluous things. If you do, they're very small,
Yep.
right? So you keep it trim and light, and you do that by because you have to, because there's just only so much room in an RV.
Yeah.
And a house is just stuff. And that's what when the tree fell, that was my attitude. It's just stuff. We weren't there. We've got a place to live. Everything's fine.
Yeah, we actually looked at it as a blessing, because where the tree fell, and it was about 3.5 feet in diameter and about 130 feet tall, it came right through the den, the kitchen, the office, and it happened at about 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
And that's where we would have been.
Yeah, we would have been in that part of the house, and it literally collapsed
Wow.
the roof, and it knocked in the back wall. So the chair that I normally sit in was covered up in bricks and the wall. So our sticks and bricks literally was sticks and bricks when that tree fell on it.
Wow. And how long have you guys been full-timing now?
So with that, it would be...
Officially, since we sold the house, about a month and a half. But
Okay.
it's about another year on top of that.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Cool. So the one thing that that I found so awesome about this group is just the way everybody gets along. And again, this is only our second project, but it's been the same. Is it that way? You guys have been on 11. Is it that way with every one of these projects? It's just like you're sitting around, you're with like-minded people who, like you said, they've given up the material stuff. They're, I think everyone on this project except for 2 are full-timers. One of those couples is thinking about full-time, and Oren, he might as well be full-time with everything he's doing. But is it just that? It's just that everybody's so like-minded, and we're all nomads and just traveling around doing this thing, or what is it that you think makes everybody click?
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head with people being like-minded. We're all in on this type of lifestyle, but like I alluded to before, it's not just about us.
Right.
If it's just about you, then, what's the point? You're being very selfish and you're not thinking about this. Here we are in state parks and county parks and nonprofits where we can do some good. We can give back to the people that we like to support. And it really means a lot, I know, to us, and it seems to everybody else.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would just add that very few things in life are 100%. So given that we've been on so many projects, there have been a few people, I would say that maybe their expectations were different for whatever reason when they came into the project. I don't know if they didn't think they were going to work as hard, or which is quite possible, because as you know, on your second project here, people are really motivated. Nobody tells anybody to do anything. It's like, here's to work. You guys can figure out how to do it, and pair up, and people volunteer to be in separate little smaller groups to work on projects. And everything has always gotten done for the 11 projects we've been on. and we end up doing a lot more just because people are motivated. And in addition to being RVers, they do like giving back, and they do feel the need to give back, and that's why Susan and I keep coming back, because we want to surround ourselves with people that are givers, that are servants, and it really does a lot for our spirit and our soul, for sure.
Yeah, and like you said, I mean, we've got 3 more days left on this project, and we've already completed what we came here to do, which was painting the 32 Ramadas. So today, now we started on landscaping and demolition and who knows what else. Because even as we're going through, I know Char goes by and she's like, "Oh my God, you guys are done landscaping all those spots already?" You know, so it is funny. I mean, people are here to work. They're here to get things done, and it's it's refreshing to see. And I think Phil and Char are great as far as keeping things moving and keeping everybody encouraged and kind of being those cheerleaders for us. And so when I mean, I'll be brutally honest with you, I hate painting, hate everything about painting. But to do it for Phil and Char for the state park, you're showing up and you're getting it done. So that goes a long way as well. So I want to talk a little bit about, you guys were the first, what we were calling Y2V2, project managers, I guess.
Right.
So that was the first time where 2 projects were happening at the same time. We were actually on the Anago project, which you guys were originally signed up for. And then how did it come about where all of a sudden you're heading up your own project in Versailles State Park?
Yeah, so that was an interesting story. But we have told Phil and Char, I mean, they're friends of ours. I mean, over the year plus that we've been working with them, they're really good friends of ours. So we have always said, if for whatever reason we're signed up on a project, but you need to do something different, and it would be better for YTV to drop us off, then that's fine. You do it. Don't think anything about it. Having said that, when they sent the email that said, okay, we've got a big backlog of people that have been trying to get on projects and they haven't been able to do that. It would be great if you guys would sit this one out. And we said, okay, we'll do that. And then I went outside and I started mowing the grass. And to be honest, I mean, we were really disappointed because we love doing these projects. I hope that's come through. And so I was thinking, is there a way that we can have our cake and eat it too, i.e., help YTV get more new people into projects and allow the veterans for YTV to still continue to contribute. And it just hit me, and as I was mowing the backyard, so I stopped the mower and I went in and
we talked about it.
Got Susan on the phone with Phil and Char, called them up and said, "What do you guys think about this?" And they were like, They thought about it a little bit, and we talked it out, and they said, "Well, we'll do it, but only if you guys lead it." And we were like, "Oh man," because Susan and I are retired NASA, and we both did project management in the end of our careers, and we made a lot of decisions. And in retirement, we really wanted to set all of that aside. And that's another reason why we love Phil and Char, is because they take care of all of that upfront planning and decision making, and all we do is show up and they tell us what to go do that day, right? But we said, Susan and I talked about it, and we said, fine. I mean, if that's what it takes to make this happen, then that's what we'll do. Just having trust and faith in that maybe it was meant to be. And it turned out to be a great project.
We
really enjoyed it. And we look forward to doing it in the future. If that's what they need for us to do, that's fine.
Yeah. How big was your crew for that project?
11.
11 couples? 11
11
body.
total.
Okay.
11
6 rigs. We had 5 couples and then
and one
Judy.
single lady. Yeah.
Okay. So a little bit smaller group than,
Right.
than normal, so to speak. But from what I saw, you guys, I mean, the lack of numbers certainly didn't affect not work getting done, because what you guys did, from the videos I saw, looked absolutely incredible.
Yeah, it was a really key aspect of it Phil thought of, and that was go back to a park that we've already been to, the specific park, not the state, where we know the park manager, we know the park staff, and so there's no kind of awkwardness up front.
Right.
All the planning and coordination can be done, and everybody knows everybody else.
And you guys were part of the first
Right.
project at
Yeah.
Purcell's. Nice.
And the key is the relationships.
Yeah.
The relationships that Phil and Shar developed with the folks at Sales and even in the Indiana Volunteer Coordinator's office. Those were key to getting this done, because, like I said, they knew the work
Yeah.
that YTV did, and they were ready to have us
The
back.
trust was there, the knowledge of the capabilities was there. I mean, they turned over probably $200,000 worth of equipment. I mean, we had a
Heavy equipment.
Bobcat, a dump truck. It was just,
That little Premier thing.
yeah, front end loader thing. So, and they've just turned over the keys, and
There you go.
there you go. And then
Trail goes this way.
in the morning, they'd come by and say, "You guys need anything?" And we go, "Nope." And then they'd go back to work, and that was it. So it was. It's a great model, and I think there are going to be more to come. But there are other. We've said this all along. There are other couples out there that are every bit as capable of leading a Y2V2 project. And I know Phil and Char know that, and they're going to take advantage of the wonderful people that this effort has attracted.
Yeah, and that I'll add to your point of, coming from the guy that ran an organization, being able to just walk up to that meeting in the morning, be told where to go. Here's your paintbrush. Here's whatever you need. Off you go. That is wonderful. So the fact that you guys kind of stepped out of that role, like you said, retired NASA engineers, and had plenty of decision making in your careers, to jump back into it and say, all right, we'll do this because of Phil and Char. But I'm sure there's also, like you said, those relationships that were established. Mm-hmm. The park knowing probably took a huge burden off of the fact that Phil and Char weren't there. So it probably made some of the heavy lifting not as bad as what it potentially could have been.
Well, they still did all the coordination with the park, with about, us coming in when we're coming, arranging the sites and things like that. So we were just facilitating, basically making sure everybody got what they needed. If we needed supplies from the park, we would contact them and, contact the staff, and they would give us what we needed and that kind of thing. So we didn't organize it from start to finish. They still did a lot of the legwork.
Right.
Yeah.
So that still made it a lot better. I describe this as facilitators more than managers.
Yeah.
But it was a good crew.
And the thing about Y2V2 is you have to have been on at least 2 projects, so you guys will now qualify since you just did your second project. And every project is kind of organized the same way. So there's no getting to know what the rhythm of the project is, or working with other people. A lot of times you will have worked with people that were already there, so you've already got those relationships within the group. So we really liked it, and given that we only had 6 rigs, it's a lot easier for a park, whether it's city or county or whatever, to allocate spots if that's what they choose to do, versus 15 rigs like we have some of these at some of these bigger projects. And we could respond to a need within a few months versus waiting 6 months or 9 months or whatever to get these big projects together. So I think it's going to be a good thing going forward.
Yeah, that's cool. So out of the 11 projects, I'm sure this is a loaded question for sure, but is there any one that sticks out as kind of a special one to either of you?
They're all special.
Yeah.
Really, your first project is special in its own way. We were at Buck's Pocket in Alabama, and we were there for 6 weeks. And so that was definitely, we learned how to live in our rig long term. So it was, for me, that was really special.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say that one as well, because the situation was different. That park had been shut down for almost 5 years. It was closed due to budget issues within the state of Alabama. Its budget was actually confiscated by the governor and put towards other uses that they needed at the time. So we went into a park that was overgrown. It was in a flooded area. So, I mean, it was just a mess. And to be a part of bringing something back to life was very special. And we had people in the local community that missed that park being open. I mean, that was their resource, and they would come through and they were just so happy that it was going to be opened up again, where they could bring their families down and they could fish in the creek or swim in the creek or whatever. And just being able to see the impact to the local community was very rewarding.
Yeah.
And we've seen that on other projects as well, that some of the locals would come in, and Char talks about how she cries, and there was one time Vicki Valentine there at Paris Landing State Park in Tennessee. It was a former Girl Scout camp, and she had gone to Girl Scout camp there from when she was small until she was a counselor, in her late teens. And that place meant so much to her, and just to see the work that was being done to bring it back to life.
Yeah.
And it had been shut down because the park who had acquired it didn't feel it was safe to have people in there anymore.
Right.
So there was a big dining hall that we stripped all the wood off of and just revamped it. And she came in, and I mean, she was just in tears, because that gave them an opportunity to go back and start having reunions there. So, I mean, the community was just so excited about that, and that just makes it energizes us as volunteers. Right?
Absolutely.
I'm sure you guys saw that at the Raptor setup in Wisconsin.
I mean, Marge was just, so awesome. I mean, just so awesome, and so grateful, and her staff was so grateful. And again, that's something that, impacts you as a volunteer to such a great extent. And it's funny that you told that story, because when I did the podcast with Phil and Char, she told that exact same story. So again, it shows the impact, and that's really what it's all about. I mean, you go into these things, and you're helping, but in the end, you find yourself being re-energized and recharged, and just feeling good about it. Feeling good about being able to give back a little bit, which is so awesome. And that's why when I fell in love with the concept of what they were doing right from the start. As soon as I checked out their website, and we kind of stumbled across it, where they actually had commented on one of my Instagram posts, where Sandy took kind of a little bit of a nosedive when we were down in Key West, rescuing a boxer from the water that had gotten away from his 12-year-old handler at the time. And I was on a boat ramp, and she's running across and ends up face planting and got banged up in the face. And they just had commented, and I never had heard about him before. And I clicked, I'm like, who is this? You're a volunteer? And then went on their website, and I'm like, wow, this is right up our alley again, especially coming from the nonprofit world, and it just struck a chord. So what they're doing is making such a great impact. And again, you can see it on those of us who are here volunteering, and then those that we're helping as well, the impact that we're making. And I mean, I know a couple times that, Carolyn came by while we were working, like she was just like, I can't believe how fast you guys are getting stuff done,
and that's
and
a
the
normal
quality.
And that's a normal response.
Yeah.
Because you've heard it at Antigo, but it's true everywhere. Volunteers that normally come in don't do the kind of work that we do. And that kind of leads back to talking about YTV too. YTV has their values, and as we work together, we understand those values, and so that's a big part. We get in, we get out. We don't hang around. We don't impact their revenue stream. It's very important that we all have that mindset when we go in. So we freak out these people in the parks because they don't expect a volunteer to do that.
Yeah. Earlier when I talked about the 95%, the exceptions were some people early on, and that was why Phil and Shar developed core values to make sure up front, before, as people were looking at YTV and trying to determine if that was a good fit for them, they could see the things that were important and the things that were expected. And if that didn't match up with what you were looking to put into and get out of the activity, then, don't bother. So I would say, it's almost 100% now. And the people that we have met over our 11 projects, we're really good friends with a lot of them. We stay in touch, and we look forward to seeing each other on the next project or the next project,
or even just traveling. We just visited with some friends on the way here.
That's so cool. If any of my listeners are out there kind of on the fence, like, hey, is this something we want to get involved in? Is it not? What would your advice be?
If you have a heart for service and want to try something new and challenging, this is for you.
Yeah, I would just add to that. If you're looking to meet new people that are like-minded, that are service-oriented, friendly, if anything happens to anybody's rig around here, you'll have 10 people over there helping you fix it. So everybody is very giving, and they're friendly. And sometimes in the RVing lifestyle, it can be a little lonely, especially if you're traveling around the country into areas where you may not have friends or family. This activity expands your family, quote unquote, and it makes the lifestyle better for sure. Yeah. So I would recommend it 100%.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I think the the sense of community in the RV community is something that was somewhat unexpected to me when we first started doing this, because Sandy and I lived in the same community, in the same house for 20 years, the same community just about our whole lives, other than 4 years when I lived in Florida for a little bit. But we were in the same house for 20 years. We knew one of our neighbors, really actually knew them. And, here we've met so many people that we've stayed in contact with. And even though we all go our separate ways, we do still stay connected. And, that's really what a community is all about. And I think that's one of the things that's been, really so refreshing. I mean, we feel like we belong to this community so much more than we felt we belonged to our old, sticks and bricks community.
Absolutely.
But yet we were very involved in that community, but it's different.
It's different, yeah.
Yeah, to me, I found it to be similar for the church mission trips. We would go to church and we would see the same people for 20, 25 years, like you're talking about, whether it's church or neighbors. But it wasn't until and we were cordial and, that kind of thing. But it's not until, to me, it seems like that you actually roll up your sleeves and you're doing something together. You have that shared experience that environment really helps you get to know somebody.
Yeah.
And we enjoy getting to know people.
Yeah, it's about developing the relationships.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it is just that getting in there and rolling up your sleeves, because I know my mom was big on volunteering when she was alive. She volunteered at Ground Zero, and I remember hearing her tell me stories. Oh, I'm going up to Nova Scotia to see so-and-so. Well, how do you know them? They were at Ground Zero with me. Or they helped with, Hurricane Charlie relief with me, or whatever the case is. So I think once we started doing it, her telling me those stories really, really resonated, where I'm like, wow, like, now I get it.
Yeah.
Like, there is a difference in getting in there and, getting dirty with somebody and, sweating a little bit and, working through problems and, just doing something better. So,
and just chatting while you're working and learning more about each other.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. So anything you guys want to add that we didn't cover before I get to my final question?
Can't think of anything.
I can't think of anything either.
Cool. So you guys can debate between yourselves who wants to answer first. I mean, it's funny, by the time I get to this, most of the time people have already kind of answered it throughout the conversation, but I still like to try to, pinpoint it, to one kind of little token, so to speak. So, as I'd said, the subtitle of the podcast is Many Little People in Many Little Places, which comes from the opening lyrics of a Michael Franti song called Gloria, which go, when many little people in many little places do many little things and the whole world changes. So what are one of the little things that Jeff and Susan do each day to make the world a little bit better place?
Well, for me, I try to live by love your neighbor as yourself. Because that's, we're told that is, one of the most important commandments in the Bible. And, just to try to do anything to help your neighbor have a better life. So, I want to have a servant's heart. I pray to have a servant's heart. And that's what I'm all about.
Cool.
Yeah, I would just say try to make a positive impact in any way. And that could be picking up trash. It could be if you see somebody that looks like they're troubled, just looking them in the eye and smiling. Somebody's in need of something. I mean, just, doing something that makes a positive impact on somebody's life, because I mean, it's good for the world, it's good for people, but it's also good for you. I mean, it helps your soul. It it's positive all the way around. And my mom, talking about your mom, my mom used to say that all the time, because for whatever reason, my face is kind of in a frown all the time. People would say, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" So she would always say, "Smile, Jeff." And so I always just think about that and do try to smile. And, something as simple as a smile can have a big impact on somebody that's not feeling particularly good. So.
Yeah, it is. And I think that's the key, is that it's the little things that we do. I mean, no pun intended, but you don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure out that the little things add up.
That's right.
So I love those answers, and I've really enjoyed being on this project with you guys. I'm looking forward to doing some more with you guys.
Absolutely.
We're signed up for Lake Charles now, and who knows what else we'll end up signing up for. But we absolutely love this. We love meeting people like you. We love Phil and Shar. We'll run through a brick wall for them. And like I said, I think that's the biggest, them and their attitude and, their leadership is really what makes the rest of us kind of fall in place. I think that's what's really important.
Absolutely.
So really enjoy the conversation, guys. For my listeners out there, be sure to check out my blogs and other podcasts at danclouser.com. Jeff and Susan, again, I appreciate the time, and we'll get this thing finished up in a couple of days and be off on our way.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.